mouse trouble. Having mouse trouble here on Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. November 19th, 2018. Presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click that video tab at marijuanatimes.org to find the show. You can also search us on Apple Podcasts for the audio-only version of the show. Search Apple Podcasts, search the Marijuana Times on there. Today we got stories out of Texas, Missouri, and Illinois. All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News are brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com. And their organic, all-natural pesticides, grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you are growing, and don't use banned pesticides in the state that you are growing in. Of course, you can accomplish all of this by going to Natureside. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. They've been with us since the beginning. Go check them out because they are awesome. This first story from Jason Sander at Cannabis News, or at Marijuana Times, rather, marijuanatimes.org. Texas lawmaker reintroduces cannabis decriminalization bill. That's right, in Texas. A state official in Texas recently introduced a bill to the House of Representatives that would decriminalize small amounts of cannabis. State Representative Joe Moody, who's a Democrat out of El Paso, he submitted the bill, and it is slated that the House body will address it in the first quarter of 2018, or 2019, rather. Text of the bill states in part, quote, "A person who knowingly or intentionally possesses a usable quantity of marijuana in an amount that is 1 ounce or less does not commit an offense, but is liable to the state for a civil penalty not to exceed $250. As of right now, possession of up to 2 ounces of cannabis is considered a Class B misdemeanor in Texas. It could lead to a jail sentence of 6 months. According to the Texas Criminal Justice Coalition, 70,000 people are arrested for cannabis possession in a Lone Star State every single year. So decriminalization coming to Texas. We'll see. Obviously, if you live in Texas, you know what to do. Contact reps and get them on board for decriminalization. There's a step to, there's a very limited medical marijuana, kind of a CBD bill thing going on in Texas. So they need to creep toward recreational legalization, which will be a tough road in Texas. Very conservative state, obviously. But they're definitely making progress. And the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of NORML is one of the biggest in the country as well. Very vocal and very active. So good luck in Texas. This next story out of Missouri from KansasCity.com. When medical marijuana or your gun in Missouri, you'll have to make a choice. Of course, as it says right there, Amendment 2. In Missouri, medical marijuana passed. Missouri became the 32nd state to legalize medical marijuana. But there's a problem, of course, and as always, well, at least not always, but usually, that problem is federal law, and this is no different, of course. Federal law prohibits medical marijuana users from possessing or buying firearms or ammunition. Even if the state law allows the drug's use, that will likely come as a surprise to many Missourians who supported the legalization of medical marijuana in the state. And according to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, there are no exceptions. The law creates a serious dilemma for gun-carrying Missourians in need of medical marijuana. Do they choose protection or pain treatment? Voters' decision this month to amend the Missouri Constitution and legalize the drug for medical purposes did not change marijuana's illegal status under federal law. This means, of course, under federal law, if you're committing a federal crime, you're not allowed to have a gun. And if you're partaking of medical marijuana or you have a medical marijuana recommendation, you're breaking federal law. So once again, as is the case, as I said many, many times before, the problem that federal law creates, and 2019 is probably the best chance we have had in a long time of changing federal law. Pete Sessions is gone. The Democrats control the House. So you have to expect, at least in theory, that a lot of bills would make it out of the Democratic-controlled House to the Republican-controlled Senate. And then, we'll see what happens there. There are some liberty, states' rights-minded Republicans in the Senate that might be able to join with Democrats and actually get some of these bills and some of these laws to, or at least get these bills to Donald Trump's desk so that they may become laws. But again, we're going to see. State Representative Nick Schroer, a Republican from the St. Louis suburb of O'Fallon, tweeted, "I've already announced my intent to preemptively protect legitimate medicinal marijuana users 2A rights next year. Government overreach in other states proves it is a necessary piece of legislation." And it, I don't know what kind of legislation he's going to be able to come up with that says, hey, federal law doesn't apply here, but whatever it is, I'm all for it. The notion that you have to give up your Second Amendment rights because you choose medical marijuana over deadly addictive prescription pills is fairly crazy. But again, federal law creates these situations that are illogical, to say the least. This last story from news-gazette.com out of Illinois. Expect bill on recreational pot fairly early on in the next session. This is a guy named Tom Kasich, I guess, writes for the Gazette, the News Gazette. He does kind of a mailbag thing, as you see there, every Friday. And this was someone wrote to him, quote, I know Governor-elect J.B. Pritzker has said that he hopes to legalize recreational marijuana right away, and that it wouldn't require a vote by the public, just legislation passed by lawmakers in the General Assembly. So my question is, how much longer do I have to wait to puff the old magic dragon in the peace of my home? Come on, Tom, give me some good news. Well, Tom says, it may not happen fast enough for you to consider this good news, but State Senator Scott Bennett, a Democratic from Champaign, said he expects legislation to clear the General Assembly earlier this spring. He said, to put an exact date on it is premature, but I think Pritzker, who's the new governor, said last week, the governor-elect, rather, he said last week that he hopes to be, is one of the first things he wants to do. I don't hear anybody in the legislature really criticizing it at this point. He went on to say, sure, we want to do it thoughtfully, but this is yet another revenue source that we can talk about. After passing medical marijuana here, you see that there are ways we can regulate it and do it in a professional setting. So recreational marijuana may be coming to Illinois, which would be huge. I was saying kind of marijuana law reform in states like Texas and Illinois with huge populations will affect a lot of people. So again, if you're in Missouri, if you're in Texas, you're in Illinois, whatever state you're in, make sure you're contacting your state reps, because marijuana law reform from this point out is going to be a lot less in the ballot or at the ballot box, at least when it comes to states, and more so in the state legislatures. And of course, federal law has to be changed through the U.S. Congress. And just really a descheduling, obviously taking marijuana off the controlled substances list would create the kind of environment that is needed for states to be able to pass their own laws. Whether or not that will happen in 2019, again, we'll see. Like I said, in theory, Democratic-controlled House of Representatives should be able to get things through, but then it's got to go through the Republican-controlled Senate and the Republican-controlled White House. Whether or not that will happen depends on a lot of things. What you can do, obviously, is keep sharing and liking these videos, make your voice heard with your reps on social media, write them letters. I guess they still get letters. I don't know. I know they have the calls, the emails, and stuff like that. However you want to get a hold of them, get a hold of them. And keep yourself up to date in your state. If I don't do, a well enough job here, because we only do 3 stories a day, and there's obviously a lot of states and a lot of things going on, we can't cover everything. Seek out what NORML and MPP and Drug Policy Alliance and other groups in your state had to say about your state, and find out from them how to get more involved and how to contact representatives. I know NORML and MPP make it easy for you to contact your representatives about various law reform measures. And as I said, of course, keep sharing this video, liking, keep checking out marijuanatimes.org, and keep spreading the word about cannabis through this show. Thanks to Natureside, nature-side.com, and the organic, all-natural pesticides. Go check them out as well. A new week here at Cannabis News. Thank you for watching and listening and sharing. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.